Welcome to More to Life. Today we are recording a video of one of my favorite topics to talk about. So I will be probably doing most of the talking today. So Taylor, what are we going to be talking about today?
Real estate, what we talk about every day.
It's not every day. So today we're going to be talking about like real estate 101. No, I'm joking. But just basically, we're going to kind of give some tips and stuff that we've learned over the years. Just to give you some background, we haven't always, dabbled in real estate. Um, we both, I had an interest some years back. I just saw how a lot of mentors that I had and people I knew had dabbled in it. And so I was telling Taylor, I was like, hey, we need to, look into that, instead of the traditional where we just buy a house or where we're the ones always renting to kind of, dabble into that. And so initially I brought it up to Taylor and she was like,
I'm trying to see where that expensive workshop fell in. Was that on the front end?
I went to like a workshop, like I was trying to educate myself in Chattanooga. It was like
Talking
a
about
Damon John or
education, it was
something.
a whole tuition.
It was like 500 to go. I learned a lot. It was good.
It was
But
in the
then
thousands.
when I was there, they
Yeah.
upselled you to like purchase, and you had like a mentor and all that type of stuff. And it was like $18,000. Something. It was crazy. And I was
And
like,
I get a call. So he's somewhere in Tennessee, Chattanooga,
yeah.
maybe. And says, I really think we should do this. Huh? What? We were newly married, no kids.
No, I mean we've been married for a while.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But the thing was, I was like, we were blessed where neither one of us had college debt. So, her mom, she went to school with her mom, so she, got free tuition, and I played football and academics. So I was like, hey, we don't have debt, but this is a good investment. But anyway,
Needless to say,
that didn't occur. So, but that continued to spark to continue to learn and to continue to, it's a lot of stuff out there on the internet, but then reach out to some mentors, people that were doing it. And then eventually where we just said, hey, look, it's time for us just to jump in. And so I guess the big thing is our background. So we've been doing it for a few years now. We've had rentals, we've had Airbnbs, we've done new constructions. We built, our own house, new construction. We're in a different house now, but we kind of dabbled a little bit in everything. We haven't done fix and flips.
That's where you're gonna get me, y'all. I watch HDTV all the time. Well, we both do, but fix and flip, that's what's gonna be fun.
Yeah, those are a lot more risky.
Maybe.
And right now, just the economy, you gotta have subs. It's just so there's a lot of stuff you can learn about different type of strategies, but you find whatever works for you. And we're gonna briefly talk about, like, a lot of people say, well, I don't have the money or this and that. Like, we didn't have the money. So there's something called wholesaling. There's a lot of different strategies that you can get into real estate. It may be more work, but there's a lot of opportunities that you can, get involved with. No money, little money, good credit, bad credit. So don't think that this video is only of you at this point in life or at that point in life. It's you can get it and dabble into it at any point. So I guess we're going to start off with a few benefits. So why is, investing in real estate important? I say, one of the first points is that passive income. You generate passive income.
What is passive income?
Yeah, so that's income that's coming in, passively, where you don't have to actively go out and work and do that. Once you get a tenant in there and it covers
It
the
basically
mortgage.
runs itself, basically.
That's what passive means.
I mean, some people might not know what passive means.
Yes. So you create passive income, and usually it's on an asset that's appreciating. So not only are you making income monthly, the asset is appreciating in value, and you're paying down debt on, the mortgage. So that's number one. Number two is right now, and especially in America, one of the fastest ways to grow your wealth or generate wealth is through real estate. There was like a study a couple of years ago that the most millionaires or wealthy people will be created in like the next 5 to 10 years, and it's through real estate. So that's one advantage. Now wealth looks different for everybody, but that's one benefit of investing in real estate. And for us, not just the wealth part, it was more so like the legacy part.
Yes. So leaving a legacy, to me, that's something really the only reason I was interested in the beginning, was to give our kids a head start in some areas or that we necessarily didn't receive, and to make sure once we leave here that they were set up well, and maybe they will dabble in real estate. So it's fun to teach them along the way. We were given advice by one of our mentors to take our kids alongside us when we purchase land, or we're looking at land, or looking at different potential houses. And so we have taken that advice, and it's fun to watch Carson and Grayson come along, and they don't really understand now, but one day they will, hopefully.
Right. Yeah, and then I would say one of the other advantages is like tax advantages.
That's
and tax
all
different things. There are different benefits that you have from the tax standpoint when you have own real estate. So anyway, so those are some, a few benefits. And so I guess now more so I'm gonna dive into the tips that we have, or lessons that we've learned. Some that we've learned that I wish we had known beforehand, but we still been able to bless to pass it along to people. And at the end, like, comment, share if you have questions, especially if you know Taylor and us personally. If you have questions, reach out, and whatever we know, we'll definitely share. But number one,
we'll share, and we're the type too, we share the good, bad, and ugly. So we'll share our mistakes, because there were definitely some mistakes, and then our wins as well.
And that's what I'm about to just say. Big disclaimer: there is risk involved. Like with any type of investing, any type of thing you plan on doing, there is risk. But the biggest thing, like I tell people, Taylor hate when I say this. I say you gotta do your due diligence. So it's the difference
and my
between.
mama loves when you say that. I'm like, no,
it's a
Lamar's gotta do his due diligence. No.
Yeah, it's a difference between like making a leap than making an educated decision. And still there are risks, and everything doesn't pan out, but there's a diligence that goes along with real estate before you invest or before you pull the trigger. So there is risk involved, but you can mitigate that risk by doing your research and diligence.
Be smart with your risk.
Yeah. So I would say I got my little notes here. So I would say for the first tip is basically have your research and research strategies in the market. So understand what market you're planning to go in, and understand kind of what are the trends in that market. And the best way to do that is to partner with a real estate agent. Understand the market. Then understand, when I say the research the strategies. So you have fix and flips, you have buy and hold. When I say buy and hold, that's when you buy a house and you get a tenant in there and you hold that property for as long as you want. And then you can sell it, 5, 6, 7 years down the line. You have new construction where you buy a lot, you build it, and then sell it, or you build your own house. You have wholesaling, which is a strategy where you don't have any money, but basically you find houses for the fix and flippers. You get them the contract, and then basically you flip that contract to them. So
you're the middleman.
Yeah, you're the middleman, and you get an assignment fee for that. So you can make money just being the middle person. Now that one you can do without having no money, no credit. That one is a little tougher depending on what industry you are in, because you gotta find those properties and research. There's a lot of stuff on the internet. There's ways to be able to strategies and technology, different ways to try to help locate those. Usually you find houses that are like distressed. If there are people that are divorced, they're trying to sell the house. When people, upon death, their estate they're trying to sell. So it's the D's, there's a few other D's, but those are some basic ones when you understand your strategy. The second tip is know your end game. So whenever you're going to buy a piece of real estate or get involved, know your end game or your exit strategy, like how you're going to determine to eventually, make the highest return on that.
And that was something for me that I didn't quite understand in the beginning, because I always thought, okay, when you get real estate, say for instance, if you have a tenant situation, like you want to get all the income monthly, like it was all about the monthly income. And Lamar had to explain to me, and I learned on my own by reading and listening to different individuals, that a lot of times your monthly income is not your end game goal. It's when you actually sell that property. And I had to learn that because I just wasn't really educated on that piece of real estate.
Yeah. And it also depends on what type of investor you are. So for me and Taylor, from the standpoint, you have some investors, you have to be really cautious who you deal with in the real estate industry, because some people are all about the gain. And for us, we have been blessed on our rentals, where we've been able to bless families, make, have market rent or below market rent, if it, with good tenants, where it's not all about like getting the highest dollar. And the Lord has blessed us in return, where, being good stewards of those. So, that's one reason we look at it as well. Like, yeah, we've been blessed, but we try to be a blessing to the people that we're involved in.
Right.
And I learned that early from a mentor. They said for real estate to work, everybody had to benefit. You, the tenant, the real estate agent, all the people, your team. If everybody is eating and benefiting, that's the best way to be prosperous and do it the right way, and not try to cut people out
and get over.
Like, we have good tenants, and so.
And we have good relationships with those tenants. They don't hesitate to call Lamar when something needs fixing or whatever the case. So from the beginning, I feel like that relationship, the foundation you build with your tenant is important.
And we do, like, around Christmas time, we discount their rent, to say, hey, let them save a couple $100 because it's Christmas. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do. That could be a whole nother video. Yeah, but so know your exit strategy. And so for, I do the whole big dive into numbers. That's what I do for a living. So I look at cash flow, cash on cash return, and then, with the market, we're going to hold this for a couple of years, 2+ years. Because the big thing is holding for more than 1 year, because the capital gains going back to the tax strategies. But I'm not going to do it. That's a whole another conversation.
I will say, just for those that may have questions later, we have had 2 states we've dealt in that were pretty different markets. So we know a little bit about, like, when, like you said, how long to hold, and okay, what's the trend in this market, in this state. All right, this state is a little slower, so we'll hold this a little longer. So we do have a little experience. I mean, it's only 2 states, but they were, 2 different markets.
Yeah. And then the biggest one, like, a lot of people say, okay, yeah, I'm interested in real estate. I told you, you just gotta do it. Once you do your diligence, just go. That's one thing. The timing is important. A lot of people wait. Like Taylor, I'm like, a lot of times, I'm like, hey Taylor, I saw this property. Oh, well, let's talk about it tomorrow. I'm like, no, they'll be gone tomorrow.
But sometimes you could talk yourself out of it too. Like, man. So you do have to. He is more willing to jump, but.
But an educated jump. Like I have like my Excel where I can kind of formulate it within like 10 minutes to know if it's going to be like
and you do
a viable
have to,
property. That's
part of real estate, and I had to learn you do have to move fast.
Yeah, but like she said, the stuff that we've learned, and so like some stuff we're like, man, we should have waited and held another year or so. We could have made X more. Or we're like, oh man, this was perfect time. Or hey, so it's been like, it's one of those things.
Or we should have never got into that.
Yeah, but that's one thing you just learn. It's the part of the process and not getting too high, too low. And for us, we have some people that's like, oh, I'm trying to be a millionaire. So our thing is like, oh, we made money. That's a blessing. All right, and we give out of what we make, and we give back to, and we just keep it moving, because we look at it as better than us not having zero. So like some people, I can make 100. I'm like, well, we made 50. That's 50 is better than 0. And so it's that balance.
It just depends on what your purpose is, your goal.
Yeah, and we do this part time. Like, so we have full-time jobs, so we do this on on the side as well. So I'll say that's that one. Then the last big tip is the big one, which I knew a little bit more about earlier, is the financing piece. So a lot of people say, well, I just don't have the money. I told you about wholesaling. But some of the strategies that are really for financing, first, there's a lot of non-traditional lenders. Like, when I say non-traditional, outside of the traditional banks. Banks, it's harder to get investment loans. There's a lot of non-traditional lenders that do a lot of different flexible things, and they'll take the real estate as collateral. Usually you have to put some type of capital down. So I would encourage you to start saving. But a lot of other ways to do it is leverage your home. So if you have a home and you live in an area that you have equity in the home, you can have a HELOC. You can use that HELOC and that equity in your home to put down payments on investment properties.
What's a HELOC?
And so that's a
just
home. A home equity line of credit. So say for instance you got $100,000 in equity and you get a HELOC for 80. Well, you can take 40 on the HELOC, put it on a down payment for a house, and have that cash flowing. Say you're making $500 a month cash flowing, and then it's covering what you borrowed on the HELOC. So you're making $300 a month, and that asset is appreciating. And then at some point you can refi that investment house and pay off the HELOC. So there's a lot of strategies there. But leverage a lot of people have equity in their homes and they say, I got equity, but they don't use it. So it's like, what point is it having the equity unless you're gonna sell the house, get the equity, but then you can put that on down payment on another house. Right. So a lot of people, they say.
And I didn't understand that. And you gotta understand, Lamar is in this world. That's why he's able to just talk it like that. That's what he does at his full-time job. So a lot of those terms are used in his full-time job, but don't be afraid to ask questions, because I knew none of this. I didn't know what a HELOC was, barely knew what equity was.
She still don't know, Joe.
But so I learned through him and reading myself. So don't be afraid if you want to get into this and you do not know, educate yourself.
I send her articles all the time, because that's mainly on my Facebook feed is like these NBCN or finance and stuff like articles. But so leveraging your own home equity to do it. If you have any other assets, if you can leverage those. But the biggest one that is also if like you're married and if you're able to qualify for your primary house by yourself. So like you can get this house, like as our house is and me as a primary, but then Taylor is then able to still go get another house as a primary.
And that, I didn't understand that either. Yeah. That's on the debt, not because I was thinking like, what? I don't own this house. Yeah. No, that's not what that means.
So she's still on the deed, but as a primary, I'm the one on the financing hook. But when you do your primary, you can put as little as 3% down. So like for us, this is our primary. We bought it. But then for her, when we're doing an investment house, you want to put as little as money as you can to, if you can get a property and put none down or 3%, well, she can go get a house as her primary and put 3% down. And so instead of your traditional 20% on investments, so that allows you to get a second home investment with little as 3% down and have it cash flowing. That's a strategy. If you're able to do that, and one spouse can afford the house. And then the last strategy, which I wish I knew being young, and when you they have first time home buyer programs. When you first buy your primary home or these first time home buyer programs, you can put down as little as 3 to 5% on residential houses. But people don't realize residential is classified as 1 to 4 units. A lot of people, we just buy single family and like, oh, I do that. If I was young and I knew about this strategy as a beginner, as if I was a little younger. So if you have not bought a home yet, or you in that first time home buyer program, or you about to buy your, to do that 3%, you can buy a 3-plex or 4-plex or 2-plex house and put 3% down, live in one of the units, rent out the other ones, and from day one be cash flowing, paying the mortgage or what. So basically, because a lot of times you graduate college or whatever, or starting to work first, and you get into apartment and rent. Why not, if you can buy a 3 or 4-plex, you stay in one unit, rent out the other 3, those are going to be covering the mortgage for all 4 units. Yes. And then you stay there for a year or 2 until you get your dream house, or not dream house, or just your next home. Yeah, you move into that home and rent out what you just moved out of. So say for instance, you got a 4-plex now, and each one of them paying $1,000 in rent. You getting $4,000. It's going to pay the mortgage on the duplex. Say that's $2,000. Then you got an extra $2,000 passive income. That $2,000 can be covering the mortgage to where you move. So now your initial investment is paying for that investment and your house, and then you just snowball effect and do that. So now I know people are like, well, if you're in Nashville, the market crazy. You can't find a 4-plex or 2, or if you do, it's going to be a quadruple $1 million. That's not even a number. But these are still just strategies and stuff that you can learn, pass on to your kids. Look, there's other markets. The big thing for us, and I'll tell at first, she was like, well, we can't physically touch it. You got people coming to Nashville, y'all know, from California, they ain't never seen stuff. Like, so don't feel like you gotta have seen the property. You just get a good real estate agent in a different area.
It's one we did during the pandemic, and that was the strangest thing to me, because we didn't see it.
Yeah, and we didn't. We saw a picture of it. We saw a picture. We had and diligence. We had an inspection. You do the inspection. We had a real estate agent.
That would have been something. That would have been a total no for me in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. You get a good property manager, so people that can manage those things if you're out of state. Because even a lot of people, I tell people that got property in the state they live in, it's very rarely you still go by that property.
Right.
It's you go by it, it's probably as often if it's one out of state. If you know if you have a good property manager, real estate agent, all that. So you might say, well, Nashville too high. Look at other areas, look at other states that you can get in, like Birmingham, for instance. Right now, you can get in Birmingham. Their houses are 30 to 60,000. You can get into those houses for a couple thousand. You know, now it is Birmingham, but that's Birmingham. So I mean, there is, yeah, Mississippi. Down in Memphis, right, touching Mississippi area. I got a good friend I play football with who's doing really well down there. So anyway, sky's the limit. So the last one is just always continue to
educate yourself.
Educate yourself. Read up on articles. And I'm not saying every day, like, you know.
In our house is every day.
Well, for me, I look at stuff probably every day. I just have fun with
appreciate
stuff.
it though. Yeah, it's fun now. It wasn't in the beginning.
And if your spouse not like, I have to pick and choose. Like, okay, 2 days. I'm like, let me not talk to her, like, because and don't let it get consuming. So it has to be a balance. And we have learned that over time. And now it's going well. You know, it's not something where we just like, oh, retire rich, but it's good passive income. It's a good assets, good markets. And it's just another way to like build that legacy, give back, and then so on the spiritual side, like I've had spiritual conversations with my tenants. We have, so I mean, there's a lot of impact that you can have, especially right now with housing being so high. If you can offer affordable housing, that's another way you can bless people as well. So with that, thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe, like, comment. If you have any questions, let us know.
Bye.